Hi, John. How are you? Good morning.
Good morning, sir.
Yep. Um. Yeah. I have a request. John, can you please have like a bulleted list of the topics Gazal discussed in the statistics part? I just want to see if what I have is the same as what you have discussed during that cohort.
Okay, sir.
Yeah. Thank you. And I'll just be on the sideline waiting for the students. Hi, Hasiba. Welcome to the meeting. Good
Hi, how
afternoon.
are you?
I'm
Thank
doing
you.
great. I'm excited for this session. So, yeah, how was your son? I think he was
Yeah,
rushed to the hospital. So,
yeah, he had a surgery, tonsillectomy, so he's doing well, still
hmm,
under recovery,
well,
but
it's great
overall
to
he's,
know.
yeah, he's good.
Yeah, it's
Thank
great
you.
to know
Thank you for
that.
asking.
Hoping for immediate recovery.
Thank you.
It's very difficult when children got sick.
Oh yeah, I have two
Yeah.
kids.
Hmm.
Uh, yeah, it's hard.
Yes, it's very difficult.
Yeah.
The pain is well doubled. The one the other pain is being felt by
Yeah,
the parent, and uh,
absolutely.
yeah. And one thing, the cost of the cost of medication in the U.S. is hospitalization is crazy high, right?
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
crazily high. So if you don't have insurance, like,
Insurance. Yeah.
yeah, it's very, um, I don't know why the system is like that. So
Well,
it's like thousands dollars you have to pay
yes.
for a emergency visit. They
Yeah.
will just
That's why
send
you
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 with some
always
time
need
home.
an insurance to cover those expenses, but the insurance is also an additional expense in itself, right?
Yeah.
And every month you have to pay it, so it's another burden for those living in the U.S.
Oh yeah. Has
So with high salary comes this uh, other high expenses as well.
so if you are like in a if you belong to middle class,
Hmm.
uh the like you would have nothing at the end of the month for saving.
Yeah, for the rent, right? So
Yeah.
for example, you're earning like 5 grand. So like
Yeah.
30% of that would be for the rent, and then for the other expenses such as utility. If you're paying a car, then it would make
Oh
things
yeah.
worse.
And
So
different insurance. You have to pay mortgage insurance, you have to pay
yes,
health insurance, car insurance.
yeah. So the typical middle class is currently
Yeah.
suffering for those high expenses, and the grocery
Yeah.
bill, right?
Oh
The
my God. So the inflation,
groceries are
yeah.
yeah, with the
They,
inflation, it's very
yeah.
expensive. And I've
Right
seen
now
people,
it's like crazy.
yeah, I've seen people in documentaries, they are living in their cars because they can't afford the rent, or even though they afford the rent, it's better to just live in their car to have a savings because the rents are just unreasonable. Like if you're
Yeah.
working, like if you're working full time, your house will just be for sleeping, right? Every
Oh
night.
yeah, yeah. Like if
So
they don't have kids, that's a reasonable place. But with kids, you can't live in the
yeah,
car. Yeah, with kids,
yeah,
you
you
have to pay the
can't
rent or the mortgage.
yes, it is difficult, especially when you have kids.
Yeah,
And but if you're single, I think you can survive with that. Although
yeah, yeah.
it's below the standard of living, right? I think one of the basic needs of an individual is a home.
Home,
So
yeah.
it's sad that even the richest country it's having troubles with in that aspect. So
Mm.
yeah,
In
hopefully
this,
things will get better.
yeah, in the state that we are living is we live in North Carolina. Everybody's
Oh,
moving from the other state, especially from California. So
it would drive the rent prices high and even the
very
cost,
high.
yeah, the
Yeah. So
cost of housing.
nowadays, yeah, like
Yes,
housing market is really crazy. You can't find a
yes,
reasonable house even for rent or anything.
yes. I agree. I agree. Hi, Grace. Welcome to the meeting. How are you?
Hello, good morning or an evening for the rest of us.
Sorry about that. I'm still suffering from the cough. Yeah, I'm not sure. It's already been like 2 or 3 weeks. But yeah, we were just talking about the housing prices and the rents in the U.S. It's getting really controlled very high.
Oh yeah, it's ridiculous.
Oh, yeah. Imagine 30%, 40% of your income going only to that, and you have
And
other
it's like
expenses as
6 years
well.
ago, less than 6 years, 4 years ago, you could buy a
Mm,
house, you'll have a mortgage under $1,000.
mm.
Now you cannot have either rent or
Rent,
mortgage for like
yeah,
2,500. It's crazy.
that's crazy. Yeah, before I think yeah before the pandemic it was tolerable, but during and yeah after post pandemic um things got really um worse when it comes to housing prices and rent. And I think um one of the problems that you have in there is there are companies that are buying this houses and they are renting them, and it makes the supply really low. So these companies are buying out this houses and they rent them to this young professionals or those
Yeah,
starting.
companies are doing it, upper middle class are doing it, trying to make their
Yes,
own
they're also doing that.
Airbnb. So
Yes,
it's like there's really low inventory, rents going up, all of it is just a storm.
yes. So if you're starting
And
like
and
you're,
it's like capitalism's great, but with the rules of capitalism, the ones who have more are the ones who are able to get more.
yes, yes, that's correct.
And that's what
That's
I'm
one.
seeing as someone who's priced out, at least.
Yeah, I think that's one of the flaws of capitalism. Like when you have this companies that are already solid and are eating most of the like revenues. I think they have so much power in them that they
Mm-hmm.
can manipulate the market. Just like what's happening in the housing market in the US. These companies, like for example, if there would be a housing price crash or housing market crash, these companies can buy, they can they can win in all of the bids. So essentially, they will be having greater inventory, and it will just retain the problem. So yeah, I think a law should be passed, something related to that. But yeah, these companies are almost untouchables, right?
Mm-hmm.
Untouchable when it comes to well, the lawmakers, they
Yeah,
are
people don't like it when you mess with quote unquote capitalism because then they'll call
yes,
you a socialist and then nothing happens.
yeah, but people are suffering, right?
They're suffering, and it's like that's
Yeah.
why I'm doing this. Is like my current salary is just not like survivable. So
I see. I see. With the inflation driving even the groceries really high. I mean, even petrol, it has it has increased
yeah,
substantially in the past 5 or 4 years. So, yep. Hopefully everything would be better soon. But with the current trajectory, I think it would be unfortunately worse. If you look at the current trend. So it's been going on also in other countries as well, such as Canada, um, South Korea, Singapore. So they can supply one of the basic needs of an individual, which is having a home. So, yep. Anyway, so guys, Jeff, Hasiba, Grace, welcome to the meeting. So we'll be starting fresh today. Um, this will be the last topic before we transition to Python for analytics. So today, our topic would be functions. Okay, so
Wait,
function.
sorry, Jeff.
Yep.
You said transitioning to Python for analytics. So we're still going to be learning about Python. It's just going to be
Yes.
more about what we were doing
Focus.
with SQL, like inquiring tables and stuff, right?
Yeah, it would be more focused on you have the
Perfect.
data, what would you do with it, how would you generate insights from it?
Awesome, awesome.
Yeah, it would be still Python, but more focused on data. Okay, so yep, let me share my screen and let's start the discussion. So I think I can finish the discussion with function today. So function is way easier to understand as compared to loops and conditional statements. So I have full confidence since we're able to, I think, ace, right? Um, the discussion in, let me see. Am I sharing my screen? Not yet. Not yet, John?
Not yet, sir.
Okay, okay. Thank you. So yeah, as I was saying, we were able to discuss the conditional statements and the loops effectively. So I have full confidence that you can easily um, pass through
Yes,
this
sir.
function discussion. So where is the share button? Okay, so I hope it's sharing now. I have to change the screen. Is it showing now, John? Okay, so welcome to Python class 7. So imagine just like that, we managed to cover 7 lectures in Python. All of them are fundamentals. By now, um, when you see a Python script, it would not be totally alien to you. You would recognize most of the things. But of course, we're just building at this point your foundation. So in the future, when you encounter a certain task, you can easily build through this foundation. So you can easily work with libraries because these libraries are also utilizing the same concepts that we have discussed. There will be modules in those libraries, and yeah, most of the technical interview questions are typically based on the foundations of Python. They just want to know that you are knowledgeable about it. And at work, definitely you'll be needing to search for things, use AI, and as AI becomes even better, then it would be easier for you to write the basic framework. But just like what I always tell you, don't rely too much with it. Make sure that you are understanding what the AI is giving you, and if not, then you can ask it to explain the codes for you. Okay. So again, understanding is the most important thing. So today's plan is just to finish the functions. So there are two types of functions in Python. One is the built-in. So for example, the print function. So it's a built-in function that you don't need to really define. But there are functions that you can create on your own, depending uh, on your goal. So those are the two type of functions: user-defined and built-in. User-defined, you create it. Built-in, those are readily available once you open an IDE for Python or even in the native platform. Okay, what happened? It turned okay. So what are functions? So we know functions for mathematics, right? Like we define a function as like you have an input and you have an output, right? So you can think of like a coffee is a function of say um, the coffee bean, or should I say the taste, would be a function of the type of the coffee bean, the process of preparing the coffee, the amount of sugar, and other stuffs in there. So, Python in programming is a reusable set of operations. Okay. So for example, the print and the len, both of these functions are performing predefined tasks. So we both know what these functions are doing. Okay, but they are built in, readily available. Okay, predefined. So in functions, um, let me fix this one. Okay, so in functions, an input isn't even necessary; it's optional. Okay, so think I have here a visualization of a function. So you have an input that is an optional, a function or a set of instructions, and then an output. So earlier I have this example of making a coffee. So the function would be the set of instructions in how to create the coffee. You grind the coffee bean. So the input would be, of course, the coffee. But in this case, in programming, it's optional. In real life, it's not. So you have the inputs such as the coffee bean, the water, and all other ingredients, and the function would be the step-by-step process of um, making that coffee depending on your preference, and then your output would be your delicious coffee. Okay, so think of a function as a box that performs a task. We give it an input and it returns an output. Okay, so suppose that you want to get the total of, say, three numbers. So the process, of function that we're talking about, that is to add, right, to get the sum in order to get the total. So the sum is considered a function. So it is a set of operation that would get the total for you. So we don't need to write the set of instructions again for a different input. We can just call the function again. So that pertains to a function's reusability. So imagine if you don't have this this function in programming, you have to every now and then define the set of operations if you want to use it again. Okay, so that's one of the major advantage or major reason why there are functions. Okay, so reusability, and then we have simplicity. So I have here an example of adding or identifying the minimum between two numbers. So it's easy. We already know how to do conditional statements, right? So if you will look at it carefully, this these codes that we have on the right side of our screen, the first step is initialization. You have the two values, 10 and 40. Now, you have to define, okay, what is my goal? I want to print the minimum between the two, the smaller. So we know that, right? The conditional operator for that is less than. So if num1 is less than num2, minimum is num1. Else, if that is false, then it must be that num2 is the minimum, right? So print minimum. So you have that conditional statement and if else statement to do that. Okay. So both of this statements that are being shown, the top and the bottom, both are um, both can be translated into a function. So we can make it more simple. Okay, and we can use that function in any different number. Okay, we don't have to write the if else statement again. We can just apply that functions that the function that we have defined in a new set of inputs, a new set of numbers. Okay, so let's see that. So here, as you can see, there's a built-in function in Python called the min function that would allow you to do the same thing as what we have done here. It would allow you to identify the uh, the, the number that is less, okay, the minimum. So what this function min is doing is basically the same as with this, okay, but as you can see, it's simpler, right? And it can be reused, and you don't have to define it over and over again. In fact, you can extend it into just more than two arguments. You can extend that to uh, any uh, any number that you want. But if you're only using conditional statements and you're not familiar with how to create a function that would do this, you would have to define again um, a conditional statement that considers four numbers. And as you can see, it would be more complex than this. It would it would be needing us to create another, I think, four lines. Okay, this is what I see. Four lines again for uh, if we want to consider another two values. Okay, additional values in our argument. So that's the advantage of using functions or working with functions. It makes our life easier. It's more simple, avoiding mechanical errors. Because if you screw up here, then the result would also be wrong, right? If this is incorrect, the manner in which you created your if else if whatever set of conditional statements, the resulting output of this thing would still be incorrect. So that's one thing that we are avoiding when we use functions. Okay, and that's the good thing about making our code simple, because the simpler code is, you're avoiding mechanical errors. Okay, so we want to keep things tidy when we are doing programming. Okay, types of functions in Python. There are two basic types of function. So we already had a run through of this. So we have here built-in functions for the first one. So functions that come with Python, we don't have to define the operations. So basically, this built-in functions are the typical functions that you would use. Okay, those are predefined, identified by the developers of Python. That okay, like if you want to display something, then you have the print function. So you don't have to define it. You don't have to specify it again. And for the basic ones, such as the length and the min, these are just some examples. But if you want to know, there's actually a guidebook for Python in all of the available base functions. Is it necessary to know them? The answer is no. If you try to memorize them, you would likely fail. There are just too many of them. So why waste your memory in memorizing it? Okay, and there's no reason for you to do that. I mean, it's not smart to do that. Okay, so if you need something, you have it in your mind, you have the idea, okay, I want to do this. Now you look for the exact function that would do that, okay, if it exists. Now, if you can find or if there are no functions such as that, then you have to define it yourself. Okay, I'll be creating my own function then that will do this idea, right? This operation that I want to apply to my inputs. So like for the min, if you don't know that a minimum that like a min function exists in base in the list of base functions in Python, then you can just define it through this way, right? So you can do that. You can do that. Once you have exhausted all um, all possible things, and you can't really find a function that would accomplish your goal, then you have to define it. Do it by yourself. Okay, so that is for number two. User defined functions for specific tasks. Okay, for specific tasks. So how to make a function? So again, as you observe, we are now introducing something new. So I'm putting emphasis to the framework, to the structure. I want you to remember this. Okay? So this is how you make a function in Python. So it always starts with the define. Okay? Define keyword or def keyword. So def, then after that, function name. So this function name, it depends on you, whatever you want to call it. It could be my function, it could be just X, it could just be any other valid names for a function. Of course, there are already functions that exist in Python you're not allowed to use it again when you define a new function. Okay, and that function only exists in your local device's memory. Okay, or I should say in that kernel, because we're using cloud computing with Google Colab. So it only exists in that kernel. So once you close your browser, you have to define that function again. Okay, as compared to the base functions, when you open the kernel, the Python kernel, those are readily available to you. Okay, so after that, it will be followed. Okay, the function name would be followed by pairs of parentheses. So inside that parentheses, there you can find the parameters. So the parameters are the inputs for the function, and it could be optional, right? It it could be optional. But in most cases, of course, when you define a function, there would be parameters. Like for example, let's move to Google Colab and let's create our own function. I want you to open your Colab, guys, and do it together with me. So, oh, I was signed out. Okay, and please let me know, John, if you can see the Colab. I'm working with three monitors here, so I'm just trying to. Do you see it, John, and the others? Okay,
Yes.
cool. Thank you. Um, yeah. So this was the last example. So let's define our first function. Okay, my first my first function in Python. So what we want to do here, okay, I know that it would give me this again recommendation, which is awesome. I'm not hating it. Okay, it just, well, as a teacher, I'm explaining things, and all of a sudden you would see the thing that I so it's kind of a spoiler. Okay, when you're watching a movie and all of a sudden, okay, you're excited with what you want to see, and someone would tell you what would happen. Okay, so anyway, it is what it is. We have that in there, so we maximize it. So I want to define. Okay, so let's talk about the structure. Talk about the structure. We told earlier that the structure is def function name, right? We have function name, and then we have parameters. That is optional, right? You don't have to. You don't necessarily need to have that in order to have a proper function. So then after that, it will be followed by set of operations to be done. Okay. So this is the structure, right? And I want to put it in a comment so that we don't encounter any errors. So using that, okay, let's make some silly functions, okay? Just those basic ones. So I want what if um, I want to add two numbers using a function? Assume you don't know no plus. No, it's a requirement. A base function. Okay, I should say for it. Okay, this is a silly function. Of course, we know that we can just add, right, and then you can immediately get the sum. But let's make things complicated unnecessarily, right? So we define a function called my function, which is there would be two arguments, x and y, right? And what this function does is it would print the sum of x and y. Okay, so this is a completely valid function. Again, look at the structure. So this is the def. Once the system sees this, it automatically knows that you want to define or create a function. Okay, then this is the function name, which can be anything, depends on you. And then you have the parameters here, which would be the set of inputs. Parameters just mean set of inputs. Okay, and then here's the operation that the function will be doing. So let's run that. And then let's use the function. So if this successfully runs, then we have a valid function. Okay. Okay. So we have a valid function now. So we apply now the function. Let me put a comment. Apply the function. Again, this is only for the purpose of discussion. You might argue that, Jeff, this function is completely useless. Why would you want to go all the way? There's steps in order to just get the sum. Okay, this is just for the purpose of showing to you how to create a simple function. So in order to call your function, as you can see, it's now defined here. So if you want to get the sum of, say, 388 and 2, you will easily get it. So as you can see, it is now 390. Okay, so now let's make things a bit complicated. Let's um, think of a more sophisticated function, one that is also useful and at the same time worthy of discussing, right? So let's think and create a more sophisticated function. And just like that, I don't see my screen again now. Sophisticated. So I want to have a function that would get, hmm, let me see. Let me think of a situation. Hmm. Suppose I have a capital. Let's think of it in the investment aspect. So I have a capital that would supposedly earn 12% per annum. Okay, 12% per annum. So suppose I have I want to invest that for 3 years. What would be my returning investment or total amount that would be returned to me? Okay, so let's define the input. So first, define the parameters. So you have to think of those things in a structured way. What are the parts in order to create the function, then define them. Okay, first is the parameter, right? So let's define parameters. Parameters. So um x would be the investment amount, right? And then y would be the interest. Look at that. Okay, just look at that. I wonder if it's even listening to me. It already gave me the idea. Oh, no, no, no. It's because of this, I think. It identified that I'm assigning the first variable to be an investment amount. So it recommended that y would be what was it again? Interest rate. Yep, John.
Sir, I saw in the source you can turn off the feature by going to the settings and then
How? Yeah, I actually did that
and AI
here.
assistance and then uncheck the first one.
Yeah, we tried that, and it's actually the
And then
same. Should I? I think I've tried that during the Monday session, but I'm not sure if. I think it was not. It's still the same.
can you try
So
type again the codes on another cell, sir?
yeah, let's try that. X. Yeah, it still has that start coding with something. Investment amount. Y is okay. It's not giving me now any recommendation. Thanks, John. I wonder what happened with the first time I unchecked that. So now we can again. I'm not hating on AI. I just don't want to like spoil you with. While I'm still discussing the steps 1 and 2, the AI would already show steps 7 and 8. Okay, it spoils the discussion. So we have the following parameters: investment amount, interest rate, and number of years. Now, hmm, I want to define a function. I want to create a function so that it would return the total investment and together with the earnings. Okay, given arguments for the parameters above. Okay, let's do that. Okay, let's do that. I wonder if the words that I used here are actually valid. But let me say I want to create a function so that it would return. Yeah, the total investment here with earnings. So whatever interest has been earned during the course of the number of years that the money was invested, it would also be with the resulting number. It's like an overall total. So let's define investment function that would get as parameters three values x, y, z, and what the function will do. Okay, it would how do we do this? It would get the interest rate, right? The investment amount, which is x, plus, right? So the interest or the capital plus the interest rate per annum. So that would be x times, right? X times y, right? So this figure, this returns, so this returns the capital plus 1 year of interest. right? Times y. Is it cool that we have a times y in there? So if you have 1 year, say the interest is $5,000. If that is only 1 year, that would be 5,000 times one. So that is 5,000. But if it's on 2 years, that would be 5,000 times two. So that would be 10,000 plus your capital. So this is what my function will be doing. Okay. So I can put it in a return function or just simply print. As simple as that. And even without the print function, it would actually work and accomplish that. So let's see if this is a valid function. X plus x plus x times y times y. Seems like it is a valid one. Okay. No errors with that. So suppose, okay, suppose I find an investment, okay, that offers 10% per annum return for at least 100K investment. Okay, what would be what will be uh my total investment and earnings after 5 years? So for example, you want to lock it, okay, for 5 years. So we haven't yet considered the compounding here. But of course, if you want to be more sophisticated, there could be a compounding process. Like for the first year, you earn 5,000. That 5,000 would be added to your X. It's relatively easy to do that, right? There should be you know that in every loop there would be like X plus whatever the value that you want to add. So here, suppose that okay, I want to invest exactly 100K. Okay, I want to invest 100K. What will be my total earnings plus capital after 5 years? So let's do that. So let's apply our function that we have just created. Of course, you cannot find that function in base Python. It doesn't exist in base Python. Maybe in modules, maybe in libraries. There might be a library for finance or something related to this that would contain this kind of function. But yeah, in base, I'm not sure that it doesn't exist. I'm sure that it doesn't exist. Okay, so in function, so let's define the arguments. So first would be the capital. So let's put 100K, and then um, what would be the interest rate? That would be 12%, and then number of years is 5. So let's see. Let's see what would be our corresponding um, value. So it's returning 101. So let's see. Let's do a manual computation to verify if it's really doing the correct thing, right? So it's easy to do that. Let's just get the 12%. So that is what's happening here. Okay, I forgot the decimal value, the decimal point rather. So we have 1200, right? So that 1200 should be multiplied to uh 5 so that it could get us. Oh, let me see. What percent? It should be 1,000. 1,000. Why is it giving me? Yeah, it's 12,000. Let me see. 0.12 times 5. Okay. X times Y. Why do I have Y? It should be Z, right? It should be Z. That's why we have a very low value here, because I'm also multiplying this, whatever the value of this, to Y. It should be Z. Okay. Now, so we're expecting to get 60,000 for 5 years, right? 12 times 5. Uh, is my arithmetic correct? Yeah, 60. So let's see. There we go. So the error earlier was I multiply this part right here with Y, right? Do you follow? Let me see the chat box for any message. Questions, guys? Do you have any questions? Was that something clear? This is just a simple function, but more sophisticated as compared to, of course, just getting the sum. Okay. And yeah, 12% per annum. Questions? Can I get a thumbs up if okay, I see Anissa giving a thumbs up. How about the others? Don't hesitate if something maybe I said something that is confusing or unclear, just let me know. Of course, I'll be um uh oftentimes I'll be committing such error, but we'll be going back to it to correct those, just like what I did in here. So I was talking too much that I failed to consider that I actually put y instead of a z, which corresponds to the number of years, a multiplier. Okay, so yep, that's a more complex function. So let's go back to our slides. So yep, so this is the structure. So here, this is a very basic example as compared to what we did. So we have a my function here. And this is just an example to show you that a parameter is not really a requirement when defining a function. So whenever you call this function that I've created here, it would just print the statement. The statement is printed using a function. That's the only thing that it does. Okay, you cannot do any other thing aside from it, unless you manipulate the how the function has been defined. So if you try putting any argument inside this function, it would throw you an error. Python will tell you that it's not expecting an argument with this function. Okay, so let's have a practice. I want I will be calling someone to share their work. Okay, this is a very easy example, a very easy practice. Okay, 3 minutes. Write the function called print my name. Write another function called print goodbye that prints a goodbye. Call both functions. Okay. So I want you to be structured with this, and when you encounter any troubles, any errors, um, just go back to how you created the function and break it down, like decompose it into parts. That's how you can easily spot the the error, okay, in your codes. Okay, so John, what time is it? 8:47. So I'll be giving you 3 minutes, guys. Your timer starts now. Okay. Okay, last minute. When I was discussing it with John's class before, I think that was 2 years ago. John, 2 years ago, when I taught this in the university. I asked them to create their own function, and they have to be creative. So I think you should do that in the lab also, John. Have them create their own function, have them explain what that function is for, so that they can practice the creation and be adept with it. Okay, so let's have any volunteer before I call someone. Maybe there's a brave soul out there that wants to volunteer. You just have to show your solutions, and if you fail to get to like the last part, then let's do it together. Okay? Anyone? I'll stop sharing. Anyone? Oh, I think I saw Anissa raised her hand. Anissa, can you take it away, please? Just joking. She did not raise her hand, but yeah. Anissa, can you? Okay. Or are you driving? I think Anissa is driving. Okay, just as I can go. Okay, Jeff, you can share your screen now. And you're on mute. Maybe you're trying to say something, but you're on mute.
You guys see it? Hold on.
Yep.
But I don't know,
Okay.
it's turning on none for some reason.
Okay. So let's see what we have in here. Hmm. So can you remove the print, Jeff, in both of the lines, and just use the
You mean the
function?
bottom
Just
one?
call the function. Yeah. The two bottom one. Can you just remove the print function in there? Just call the function that you have created. The two functions that you have created. Yeah. There we go. And also the last one. Okay. I think it would remove the none. Yep. Run it again. There we
Oh,
go.
why did it show none then?
Basically, there is a replication because you already have a print function in your function, in your user-defined function, and you're trying to print it again. So it's like, yeah, it's a redundancy. It's a redundancy, I
And
should
then
say.
because it's redundant, it's gonna print none.
Yes, it's it's giving. Well, think about it this way, Jeff. You have a function that does a printing, and you want to print something. Um, you are trying to print that function, right? Let me think of a better word for this.
You try to print a function that prints something. That prints
Yeah,
something.
you're trying to print a function that prints something. So, when the system sees this, what it first does is what's inside. So it sees that you have a function inside your print statement, right? So it first executes that, and then after that executes
Oh, because it's
the
already
print.
executed, so it just
Yes.
doesn't think that there's something in there. It thinks doesn't have anything in there.
Yeah. Let me provide you another example here.
Sorry.
For a while, I'm just creating an example here. Print, print, f. It's like this. Jeff. Oh, okay.
Wait,
I'm
hold
not
on.
yet sharing. Sorry. I thought I was sharing. Um.
For some reason I'm seeing. Wait, hold on. Oh, there we go. Cool.
Okay. Do you see it now?
No.
basically what's being run first is with the inside, right? So this is what's being run. The other one is like you're like printing nothing. It's like printing empty.
Okay, it's because it's already executed, so it doesn't have anything there.
Yes, it
Once
doesn't
it
have to
executes, it
execute
just
anything.
it's gone basically.
Yes.
Got it.
So basically, this print function, just like what we said earlier, it doesn't need any parameter with it to be a valid function, right? So it's basically showing you nothing here. So it's just telling you as a guide that okay, we can we don't have anything to print. That's why it's telling you that there's none after the Jeff, right? But it could be that okay, print Jeff, and let's say let's add another thing right here. I am um it should be Jeff, and then um although the positioning is screwed up. I am print Jeff. Yeah, Jeff, I am none here. Let me see. Thinking of executing this, maybe. Hmm. Even if I put it in here, the very first one would still be run. So yeah, I think there's no other way to. Let me think. Give me a minute. Um, yeah, the positioning is actually screwed up. But of course, in reality, you would not do this thing, right? Like printing and then printing again, because basically this is a redundancy in like applying both of the functions at the same time. Um, yeah, let's think. So here's being run first, this, and then why I'm still getting the none? I'm expecting that to be well, yeah, I was expecting that this none would be uh would be removed once I add an argument outside the print function. Let me think. So this is the first one. Then outside we have this. Where is the non coming from in this structure? Non. Hmm. Let me see this if this would work. It doesn't want man type. Yeah, I'm not really sure to be honest with you why there is still none in here. I was expecting that it would be removed after this. Let me let me try use AI here to explain that to us. Um, explain why is this why is this showing none? It's taking some time. Okay. Let me open another. other thing here. Let's see. Mm-hmm. So once it prints, okay, let's decompose this. So what's happening here is first the print IM would be run, right? So that's the first thing that would happen here. Let me close this one, it's not working. This would result to IM. Now, for some reason, it returns none. The print function, after printing the IM, returns a none. So that's the second thing that's happening here. So after printing IM, returns none. And then, third, prints, for the outer print, prints Jeff, right? But I am assuming that if we add another print here, what would happen is that it would print another none in here after Jeff. Let's see if the reasoning is correct, right? Let's see if that would happen. So it seems that whenever you nest a print, there would be a none that would be, yeah, there we go. Whenever you wrap or nest a print function, it prints the argument inside it, but after that it prints a none. Okay, so that's what's happening. Why? Why is that so? Even Chat GPT doesn't give me any answer actually. So it just tells me that the return value of the print function call is just none. So the call becomes print none. Or maybe this is what's happening. Okay, this is just a guess, but I think this is um a guess that is intuitive. When we print something, okay, when we print A, okay, this would immediately show you the argument inside. When you wrap it up with another print, okay, when you wrap it up with another print, okay, since you have already, okay, you've already shown the A, the next the next print would show none. Okay, is what I'm thinking. So here it would show A first. Then after that, since it's already been shown, the outer print function would say none for the position of the second one. Okay, that's how I see it. That's how I think it's doing it. So here it's printing immediately the value of the argument A. Then for the second cell, it prints first A, and inside, this is what it looks like. Print none, print print something like this. It's just printing an empty, but it gives you an idea that it's empty. So something like that. Okay. So yep, I apologize if I can provide like a quick answer to that. But yeah, we don't do this. Okay, so that's the reason we don't do double printing. Okay, Jeff and the others, see the chat box. Sorry everyone, I'm not feeling well. I've been trying to just power through, but I can't focus.
Got it. Thanks.
Okay, okay. Yep. Yeah. Let me just respond to Grace. Grace. Oh, sure. Um. Rest and recover. Just check the recording and do the labs tomorrow. Okay. So yep, that's it for this. I'm pretty sure this is what's happening. This is what's happening if you maybe look for Stack Overflow. That's how I see it. Most likely how the system is also doing it. So excuse me. So let's proceed. Okay. So that is practice number one. Then okay, what's happening? Um okay, can you see the slides again? I clicked on something and it just went berserk. Okay. So let's define what our parameters are and what arguments are and the difference between the two. We've been using those two words without yet defining them. So let's formally define them, okay? So parameters are the data that we passed into the function, okay? So we can use this data in the function to perform a meaningful task. So basically, when we when we say parameters, we're not talking about specific numbers or specific inputs. We're talking about variables, okay? The first and the second, what you're seeing right now, or the x, y, z that we did earlier, okay? A parameter is the variable listed inside the parentheses in the function definition. And we have the arguments. Once you have successfully defined the function and you're applying it to a specific set of inputs, those specific inputs are called arguments. Whenever you assign a particular value to which your function would be applied to, then those inputs are called arguments. Okay? So I should say that oftentimes people are like interchanging these two. Even with particular values, they're referring to them as parameters. It's totally fine. It's totally fine. People are doing that, and it's just good to know that there is a difference between what we call parameters and arguments. Okay, so here, as you can see, we can also pass non-variables, right? Into um, the function. So in this case, as you can see, instead of the arguments having actual values, we pass a non-variable argument. However, how does the system sees this? Look at this. We assign values to num1 and num2. So the system actually sees the number instead of just the variable name. So the variable name is just for us humans to see, okay, this is associated to that. But the system immediately, what it's seeing is immediately this value is assigned. Okay. So essentially, the arguments are still specific in quote eyes and uncode of the system. Okay, so it automatically sees actual numbers. So function versus or function parameters versus arguments. We already know that, right? The position of the parameters and arguments are important. So the results would be different if you interchange the position of the parameters and arguments. Like for this example, if you defined the first position to be the first parameter, then you should do the same for the arguments, right? So as you can see, num1 would be associated with the first, and num2 would be associated for the second. Okay. And well, however, how the function is defined here, actually the position in the argument doesn't matter. It would still print the minimum between the two. Okay, this you have the else in there. So even if you interchange the arguments, then um, it would still give you the thing. But with the parameter, it's not. Okay. So the return, just like what happened here, just like what happened when I interchanged the position here, you see that the resulting value is incorrect. Instead of assigning y z here,